Picture this. It's 9:40 p.m. You're brushing your teeth, you catch your reflection, and your hand almost automatically drifts to your stomach. You don't feel huge, but it feels different. A little firmer, a little more stubborn. Like your belly isn't just soft padding anymore. It's almost like something is inflated from the inside. Now here's the uncomfortable question. What if that inside belly feeling isn't about the fat you can grab with your fingers, but about fat you can't pinch at all? Because there's a kind of fat that doesn't sit politely under the skin. It wraps around your organs like bubble wrap. And the strangest part is, you can be a normal weight and still have too much of it. Today I'm going to show you a simple Japanese walking habit, so simple it almost looks like it shouldn't work, that researchers found could reduce abdominal visceral fat when done consistently, especially compared to steady, same-pace walking. But we're not starting with the how yet. First, we have to understand what's quietly happening inside you, possibly right now. Stay with me, because what happens next is rarely talked about. Let's talk about the hidden room in your body. Most people imagine body fat like a storage layer, like a winter coat under your skin. And yes, some fat really does live there. That's called subcutaneous fat, the kind you can pinch. But visceral fat is different. Visceral fat lives deeper, behind the abdominal wall, in the spaces between organs, and in a structure called the omentum, described as an apron-like tissue that can thicken as it fills with fat. If subcutaneous fat is like books stored in your living room, visceral fat is like boxes stacked around the furnace, the water heater, and the electrical panel. It's not just taking up space. It's sitting next to the most important machinery you have. And here's where it gets wild. For a long time, scientists thought fat was basically a passive warehouse, just stored calories. Now we know visceral fat behaves more like an active factory. It releases chemical signals into the body. Some of those signals can increase low-level inflammation, and it can influence things like blood pressure through substances connected to blood vessel tightening. Source: this is why visceral fat often gets described as more metabolically active. Not because your body is broken, but because your body is responsive and adaptive, and fat tissue is part of that system. Your body isn't trying to sabotage you. It's trying to protect you in the environment you're living in. Now add these jaw-dropping numbers for context. Around 31% of adults worldwide aren't meeting recommended physical activity levels. And in the US, combined data from 2017 to 2020 shows 25.3% of adults reported no physical activity outside of work in the past month. Source: that means millions of bodies are spending most days in a low-movement, energy-saving mode. And when movement drops, the body doesn't panic. It adjusts. It shifts how it handles fuel. It becomes more efficient at storing, like a smart thermostat in a cold house. It turns down the spending and turns up the saving. And that's where this Japanese walking habit becomes so interesting, because it doesn't just burn calories, and it changes the signals your body responds to. We're going to break this down like a story happening inside your body, in phases. And the habit we're talking about is known as interval walking training, developed in Japan. You alternate 3 minutes of faster walking with 3 minutes of slower walking, repeating for about 30 minutes, several times per week. But what matters is not the numbers. It's what those switches do inside you. Early phase. The first 3 minutes. The wake-up knock. You start walking fast, not sprinting, but enough that your breathing gets heavier. A simple rule used by exercise scientists is the talk test. You can still talk, but you feel the effort. Source: inside your body, this is like turning on a bunch of lights at once. Your muscles suddenly demand more energy. Your heart rate rises to deliver oxygen and fuel. Your body responds with a very old, very human message. Okay, we're doing something. Release resources. Not because you're in danger, but because you're active. And the body is brilliant at meeting demand. Then, the next 3 minutes, the controlled exhale. Now you slow down. And this is where many people misunderstand intervals. They think the slow part is wasted time, and it's not. The slow part is like stepping off the gas just enough to keep the engine from overheating, while still keeping the car moving forward. Your heart rate comes down a bit. Breathing settles, but you're still walking, still using energy, still circulating blood. So your body learns something important. I can handle stress and recover. That pattern, stress, recover, trains your system like a rehearsal. And rehearsals are how biology changes. Middle phase. After a few cycles, the fuel switchboard. As you repeat the fast, slow pattern, your muscles start pulling fuel in a smarter way. Think of your metabolism like a hybrid car. Sometimes it runs more on quick fuel, like sugar in the bloodstream. Sometimes it leans more on stored fuel, including fat. Intervals help train the switchboard operator to handle changes efficiently. And in a 4-month study in people with type 2 diabetes, the interval walking group improved fitness and reduced body fat and visceral fat, while the steady-paced walking group did not show the same improvements. That doesn't mean steady walking is bad. It means the pattern of intensity changes can create a different kind of message to the body. Advanced phase. The weeks add up, the quiet remodeling. Here's the part you don't feel in a single workout. You feel it after weeks. Your walking pace at fast starts to become easier. Your legs feel stronger. Stairs feel less rude. And internally, your body becomes better at moving oxygen, improving fitness measures like VO2 max in interval walking programs. In older adults, researchers observed improvements in physical fitness with interval walking, suggesting it's not about being young or athletic. It's about training the system with the right dose. And this is why the habit is powerful for visceral fat. Visceral fat responds well when the body is regularly nudged into a use fuel mode, without pushing so hard that the habit collapses. Because the best workout is the one your body can repeat. Now let's connect the story to real science without turning this into a textbook. Because the truth is, scientists have been fascinated for decades by a simple question. Why do some exercise routines change the body more than others, even when they seem equal on paper? What scientists used to believe. For a long time, the dominant idea was straightforward. If 2 workouts burn the same number of calories, they should create the same results. So walking at one steady pace for an hour should be similar to walking with some faster bursts if the total energy burned is matched. But then studies started finding something weird. The counterintuitive discovery. Same walking time, different belly outcomes. One study compared interval walking to continuous walking, carefully matching overall training effort in a real-life setting, not in a lab where everything is perfectly controlled. Participants alternated 3 minutes fast and 3 minutes slow, and did this program for months. Source. The surprising part, even with similar overall training energy expenditure, the interval walking group saw reductions in body weight, fat mass, and abdominal visceral fat, while continuous walkers did not show those same changes. Source researchers even speculated that the after effects of higher intensity, what your body burns after you stop, could be part of the explanation. In other words, the viewing party continues even after the credits roll. Your body doesn't just respond during exercise, it responds after. Why interval walking is especially sticky as a habit. Another fascinating real-world observation comes from Japanese researchers who first tried a simple walk hard for 30 minutes plan with hundreds of people. And people didn't stick with it. They found it too difficult and too boring. So they tested interval walking instead, and adherence improved. And the health outcomes were impressive in middle-aged and older adults, including blood pressure and fitness improvements. This matters because visceral fat reduction is rarely about a heroic week. It's about a repeatable month, a repeatable year. A key finding that surprised researchers: you don't need huge volume. In an older adult study described in a Shinshu University report, researchers emphasized that it's not how much you walk, but how intensely you do so for a minimum amount of time to get benefits, suggesting improvements can happen even without massive weekly hours. That's not permission to do nothing. It's permission to stop thinking you must do everything. This is exactly why the habit is spreading. It's doable. Safety context, very important. Now, calm, honest safety notes. Interval walking is still exercise. It raises heart rate. That's the point. So who should not jump into this without medical input? If you have chest pain with exertion, unexplained shortness of breath, fainting episodes, unstable heart conditions, or you're recovering from a recent cardiac event, this is a check with your clinician first situation. If you have joint issues, the fast interval can be fast for you without being painful. You can shorten the fast interval to 30 to 60 seconds at first, and build up as experts suggest easing in if 3 minutes feels daunting. And if you take medications that affect heart rate or blood sugar, especially for diabetes, talk to your medical team about how to ramp up safely, since exercise can change glucose patterns. This isn't about fear, it's about partnership. Your body is intelligent, and you should treat it like a teammate you listen to, not a machine you punish. The practical Japanese habit, without hype. So what is the habit in plain language? It's not a secret herb, it's not a special shoe. It's this: walk slow/easy for approximately 3 minutes, walk fast/brisk for approximately 3 minutes, repeat for about 30 minutes. Do it around 4 times per week in many protocols. Source: use the talk test to find your fast pace. Uncomfortable, but still able to speak. And the deeper why is you're training your internal fuel system to adapt to changing demand, like teaching your metabolism to shift gears smoothly. Let's bring it all together calmly, clearly, and with respect for the body. You came into this video with a familiar feeling, that stubborn belly firmness, that sense that something is changing under the surface. And now you know something most people never fully get told. Not all belly fat is the same. Some fat is the pinchable layer under the skin, but visceral fat is the deeper kind, living around organs, and it behaves like active tissue, releasing signals that can affect things like inflammation and blood pressure pathways. You also learned something reassuring. If your body stored visceral fat, it wasn't because you were weak. It was because your body is a smart survival system. It adapts to your environment. And in a world where many adults don't meet activity recommendations, globally about 31%, your body often gets stuck in save energy mode. So we introduced a tool that speaks your body's language, not punishment, not extremes, just a repeatable rhythm. Fast, slow, fast, slow. A simple Japanese interval walking habit that research suggests can improve fitness and reduce fat mass, including abdominal visceral fat, more than continuous walking in certain populations when done consistently. And maybe the biggest takeaway is this: your body doesn't change because you hate it into submission. Your body changes when it trusts the signal you repeat. When you give it a challenge, it can recover from. When you show it gently and consistently. We move now, we recover now, we move again. That's not just exercise, that's biology learning. That's the body remodeling itself quietly over time. A simple way to start, calm and realistic. If you want to try this without making it a dramatic new me moment, start with 10 to 15 minutes. Do 1 minute brisk, 2 minutes easy, or even brisk to one landmark, easy to the next. Then slowly build toward the classic 3 and 3 rhythm as your body adapts. And if you want a way to track visceral fat at home without obsessing, Harvard Health notes that waist measurement can be a practical proxy to keep tabs, especially by watching trends over time. Again, not for shame, for awareness. Like checking your fuel gauge, not judging the car. What surprised you most? The idea that visceral fat is hidden, the fact that fat tissue acts like an active organ, or that a simple fast-slow walking rhythm can change internal signals over time. Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you've tried interval walking, tell us what it felt like in week 1 versus week 4. Someone reading your experience might need it. And if you want more science-based explanations without hype, subscribe. In the next video, we'll explore what most people get wrong about walking for fat loss, and why doing it at one constant pace can quietly stall progress even when you're being consistent. Source: